I will start the webinar. So welcome Lana and hello to those who watch the recording of this webinar. So as a reminder, just to remind you, we organize a webinar every Tuesday at 11:30 a.m. in French and 2 p.m. in English. And this webinar will last 30 minutes and will be recorded. And if you have questions, you can activate your microphone to ask me at the end of the webinar. Just for information, this is the last webinar of the series of the webinar. And it's considered as bonus because I will present you 2 use cases we are still experimenting. So if you have feedback about this use case, don't hesitate to give us your feedback. So just to present quickly ChallengeMe. So first, myself. So my name is Jean, and at ChallengeMe, I'm in charge of helping the users to use the platform. It can be on technical questions or on pedagogical questions. Regarding ChallengeMe, we are a peer evaluation platform. It means we provide an environment allowing the students to evaluate each other and to give feedback to each other. And we really focus on support. So if you need help to perform an action or if you have questions, we are here to help you to set up your activities. We exist since 2015, and we work mostly with business schools, engineering schools, and universities, mainly in France, but we'll also begin to start to work with the schools from Switzerland and Canada. And we are fully integrated to the main learning management system of the market, like Moodle, Blackboard, Brightspace, Camilo, etc. So here are the 2 use cases we will see today. So the first one is the peer-to-peer MCQ. And in this use case, we will ask the student to answer MCQ and to submit it to the platform. Then we will ask the students to assess this MCQ to indicate if they can find wrong answers. If it's the case, we will ask them to give a feedback to indicate how the students could find the answer correctly. So the students will be able to give advice and tips to help the students to find the answer more easily the next time. And then as a result, the students can see the different tips they receive, the different advice they receive to find out the answer more easily. Regarding this use case, it will help the students to exchange tips and advice. It will create a dynamic of mutual aid by formalizing interactions between the students, and the students will learn by giving advice also to their classmates. And we have a second use case, which is the assessment of feedback by teachers. So here we'll ask the student to submit a work, then we will ask the student to assess this work, and we will have a third phase where the teacher will be able to assess the quality of the feedback given by the students. And at the end, we'll have the result phase to let the students see if the feedback they received and if the feedback they gave was qualitative or not. For this use case, it will be interesting because it will allow teachers to give advice to students on how to provide feedback. It will also value the students who provide qualitative feedback. And it will also facilitate the evaluation of e-portfolio by allowing the teacher to complete a self-assessment of the students or a peer assessment. It depends of the way you want the student to assess the portfolio. So to understand how to create a challenge, it's important to understand what is a challenge. So a challenge for us, it's an environment where we will have different phases. So here are the 5 phases you can add to your challenge. So these phases can be one after another one or in parallel. So the first phase is the work submission phase. So here we'll ask the student to submit a work. Then we'll have a work assessment phase. Here the students will be asked to assess the work of others. We have an evaluation of group members phase where the students will have to assess their teammates with whom they have collaborated. So it will be more on behavioral criteria to work on the soft skills. We have a feedback evaluation phase where the participants have to assess the feedback they received, and a result phase to let the student see the feedback and the assessment they received. So if I go back to the previous slide, we can see that in the first phase, we have a submission phase, then an assessment of work phase, and a result phase. And for the second one, we have a submission phase, assessment of work phase by students, assessment of the quality of the feedback by the teacher, and the result phase. So now I can show you how it will work to create this kind of challenge in a learning management system. So for me, I will use Moodle. But if you use Blackboard or Brightspace, it's the same principle. Okay, so normally you should be able to see my screen. So what I will show you now is how to create a challenge, and then after I will show you what the students will see. So to create a challenge, you have to switch to edit mode, and then you can click on add an activity or resource. In Moodle, if it's a Brightspace or Blackboard, it's another way to create, but it's the same principle. You add a ChallengeMe activity in your course. Then you can click on Challenge Me. I will name the activity. So here I will name MCQ peer review, and I will click on Save and Display. And I will land to this page, allowing me to create a challenge. So I just switch to English. So here I can create a challenge in direct mode. It will allow me to use all the features of the platform and to create the challenge on my own. I can also choose the accompanied mode. Here you will have a simplified form allowing you to create your challenge, and then this challenge will be sent to us and we'll validate it to make it available to the students. So by this way, you're sure that everything is set up correctly. I will show you the direct mode because the use case we will address today are only available in direct mode. So I click on direct mode, and here I will just switch to English. Okay. So here we will, it was this one. We'll choose a template to create the assessment of the MCQ. So the template we'll use is in the evaluation of works category. And then we have a peer-to-peer MCQ model that we can choose. So I will click on create to set it up. I can change the title. I can change the summary if I want. And here we'll find the 3 phases of our challenge. So the first phase is the submission phase, where we will ask the student to submit the MCQ to the platform. So we need to define a start date and a end date, activate some notifications if needed. Here we have the predefined instructions to indicate how the students have to complete this phase. So here we'll ask the student to download the MCQ and to enter in the text field this kind of answer. So question 1 equal answer number C, question 2A, etc. So you can add your MCQ in the PDF by adding it by clicking on select files just here. And then you have an option here, but it's not interesting for us for now. And you can add the participant. So to enroll the participant, you can click on enroll individuals to select the students from your LMS. So when you will click on it, it won't be synchronized for now. If you needed to synchronize it, you can ask us by sending us an email. And when it will be done, you will be able to see your students from your LMS, and you will be able to select them to enroll them. So here I will do it like that. So I have all the students enrolled to this phase. If I don't want to import them from the LMS and I want to import them in Excel sheet, I can do it as well. So I will unenroll all participants. And to do it, I just have to click on import participant just here, and I have to copy paste the students following import format available here. And I can copy paste the data just here. So just to show you how it works, I'm copying data. I will paste it here, click on check. So I can see the number of students that will be enrolled, and I click on import. So here I have all the students imported from my Excel sheet in this phase. You can access template to import the students by clicking on need help to import the participant. And here you will have the import the participant with an Excel sheet. And here you can download a sample file to complete it. Then you can switch, go to the assessment or MCQ phase. So here we'll ask, you can define start date and end date, edit the instruction. So here in the instruction, we'll indicate to the students that they have to for each of the students, to indicate if the the question they are assessing is wrong or true. So if it's true, we will ask the student to put 10 stars, and if it's wrong, we'll ask the student to put just 1 star to indicate if the answer of the student is true or false. And for each of the wrong answer, we'll ask the student to indicate why is the answer wrong. So they will have to explain how this answer could be found more easily. So this is the main goal of this activity, to allow the student to give advice, to give tips to the students on the wrong answer highlighted. So here you will also be able to add a correction of the MCQ to help to indicate to the student which answer is good and which is wrong. And then when the students will compare the correction and the MCQ they are assessing, they will be able to see, okay, this answer is wrong, so I will give a tips. And if I don't know, if I don't have tips to give, it will force me as a student to search how I could find the answer more easily. So here we won't have classic assessment criteria. It will be question 1, question 2, question 3, etc., depending on the number of questions, because the student will be able to indicate, okay, for question 1, 10 star to indicate if the answer is true. Question 2, 1 star because I can see the answer is wrong. So we will have criteria like that. So you can add as many criteria as you have questions. In the option tab, you will be able to indicate the number of answers to be assessed per participant. So here you will indicate 3. It means that each of the students will have to assess 3 different MCQs. And in participant tab, you can reuse enrollment from the answer phase. So you can click on here to reuse the enrollment from the submission phase. And then you have the results display phase, allowing you to indicate what kind of information you want to display to the students. So you can let it like that for this use case. And then when everything is ready, you can click on publish. So what the students will be able to see. So to do it, I'm going back to my Moodle course, and I will switch to the student view. Then I will go back to the webinar course, and I click on peer-to-peer MCQs. So as a student, I will be able to see the 3 phases of my challenge. So the answer, the answering phase of the MCQ. So here I have the instructions. I can see the MCQ uploaded by the teacher, and I can answer the MCQ by filling this field. So question 1A, question 2P, etc. And then I can click on validate. Once the assessment phase will be open, I will click on it. Here I will see the instructions. So it indicates me that I have to download the correction to assess on a scale of 1 to 10 each of the answer of my team, my classmate, and I will indicate 1 star if the answer is wrong and 10 star if the answer is correct, and I have to explain why. So here I have the correction with the correct answer just here. So I can see the answer, the MCQ of the first student here. So I can see it here, and I can indicate, okay, question 1, it's true, so I will indicate 10. Question 2, I can see it's false, so I will indicate a 1, etc. for each of the questions. And when something is wrong, like the question 2, I will indicate you could find the answer like that, and I will be able to explain how the students could find the answer more easily. So as a student, I can do it for each of the answers allocated to me. And at the end, at the result phase, I will be able to see the score, the answer wrong. So for me, it was the 8 and the 9. The other were good. And I can understand how I have different advice to indicate to me how I could find the answer more easily. So here I have some advice from my teammates. So this is for this use case. And now I will show you the second use case, which is the assessment of the feedback by teachers. So I will go back to the teacher mode. And I will be able to, so I will click on the webinar course, switch to edit mode, like the previous challenge we created. We click on add an activity resource. ChallengeMe. We'll name it assessment of feedback by teacher. Save and display. And I will land here. I will switch to English. Okay, direct mode. And here, so I will go back just to switch to English. So here I will choose assessment of work, and I don't have for now the good model because it will be available in a few weeks. And we have some feature missed for this use case, but it's just to indicate you how it will work in this webinar. So we'll have a model that will be look really similar to the assess students' ability to provide relevant feedback. So I will click on create. So I can edit the title and the summary. And here I will have different phases. So the submission of the work. So here, as the previous one, I will indicate what kind of work I expect from the students. I can enroll the participant as well as we saw in the previous use case. Feedback on the work. So here the students will be able to assess the work submitted by the others during the submission phase. We'll define the start date and end date, instruction as well, and evaluation criteria. So regarding the evaluation criteria, here it's not like the MCQ. We can choose the criteria from the ChallengeMe database. So here I can add some of criteria here. So each of the criterion will be rated from 1 to 10 stars. And if we want to activate a feedback field for each of the criteria, we can do it by clicking on this button. And we can make it mandatory if we need. And we can also add a custom criteria with the name and the title if we want to create it from scratch. Each of the criteria in the ChallengeMe database have a description indicating how the students can rate this criterion to help the student to complete it. So we indicate for each for different steps of the criterion how it can be rated. Then we have an option tab to indicate the number of work to be assessed per student. So here we'll indicate 3. It means that each student will have to assess 3 other work, and we can activate the global feedback field to let the students complete an overall feedback to each of the work. Then we have the participant phase, so we can reuse enrollment or add new one. And then we have the phase specific to this use case, so the assessment of the feedback. So in this model, this is the assessment of feedback received. So here, normally we'll enroll the participant, the student, to let them indicate if they found the feedback they received relevant. But in this use case, we will enroll here the teacher to let this teacher participate to this phase, and by this way, he will be able to assess the quality of the feedback of the students. So in this phase, we will be able to define different criteria. So here it's is the feedback accurate, is the feedback clear, is the feedback constructive? So we can add more criteria if we want. And then it means that the teacher will be able to assess each of the feedback with this criterion. And we have a result phase to display the results to the students. So for how it will work in a student side, so I'll show you. So for both students and teacher side, because in this challenge, both students and teacher have to participate. So students during the submission and the feedback phase, and the teacher during the assessment of the feedback. So I will click on the demo I prepared. So here in the student view, I will be able to see the submission of work phase and the feedback of the work phase, not the yellow one, because the yellow one are for the teacher. And of course, the result phase. So in the submission phase, I can see the work I have to submit. So here I have submitted an image. Then I can give feedback to others. So here I can see the work of my teammates and assess this work following the criteria chosen by the teacher and to give a feedback. The same for the second work. And I will be able to see the my results, so the feedback I received from my peers, and also the assessment of the feedback I gave from my teacher. So I will be able to see, okay, were my feedback relevant or not. So I will be able to see it here. For the teacher, I will be able, as a teacher, I will be able to participate to this kind of phase. So here I have put two phases to show you the different way to use it. So the first phase allows the teacher to indicate for each of the feedback if he found this feedback clear, if he found this feedback constructive. So here I can see the feedback. I can assess the quality of the feedback by selecting this criteria and to give a feedback on the feedback by completing this field. I can do it for the second feedback, etc. So this is to let the teacher indicate if he or her found the feedback of the students relevant or not, one by one. But if we are in the case of assessing the portfolio of students, we can imagine that we won't have criteria related to the quality of the feedback, but we can have the same criteria that the students use for his or her self-assessment or the assessment from his or her peers. So here I can see the different feedback, the assessment and the feedback of the student. So it can be a self-assessment, for example. And here the teacher can indicate, okay, I agree with your self-assessment. I would add a little bit more for this criterion, maybe the same one for the second one, a bit less for the last one, for example, and I can give feedback to the students. So just to let you see that you can use this use case to indicate to the student if the feedback he gave were relevant and was constructive. But I can also use this use case to assess the portfolio of students to add a note to rate the criteria used by the student in the case of a self-assessment or a peer review. So this is how it works for this criterion. And then we have a result phase. So as I said, it will allow the student to have the possibility to see the feedback he received on the work he submitted and feedback from his teacher regarding the feedback he gave. So were the feedback I gave qualitative or not? And if I'm in the case of the assessment of portfolio, does my teacher agree with the self-assessment I did or with the peer feedback I received? So it can be useful for both of these use cases. And after, as a teacher, you will be able to access all the results, of course. So to do it, I will go back to the administration interface. So to access the detail of a challenge, I just have to click on it. So I will click on the second one, for example. And then here I can see the different phases of my challenge, and I can have all the data. So here, lots of things are not completed because this is a demonstration. But I can see the name and the first name of each of the students, if they have validated a work, how many feedback they received, the scores they received, how many feedback they gave, etc. And I can, if I want to have the detail, I just have to click on it to see the feedback received for the students. I can edit this assessment, this feedback. I can invalidate it if needed. I can see the average for each criterion comparing with the average of the class. And I can also see the feedback sent. So I can access to all the data of my challenge. And if I need, I can export the data with an Excel sheet. So it will export the participation data, the score, and the textual feedback as well. So you will be able to export it in the Excel file if you need. So I'm done with this webinar. So this is a lot of information in 30 minutes. So I will send you some resources after. Just to remind, the MCQ use case is available by now. So if you want to try it, you can. And for the second one, which is the assessment of the feedback by the teacher, it will be available really soon. So for now, you can't launch it because you don't have the good model. And we missed just one feature to launch it. But it will be the case in a few weeks. And there's, as I said at the beginning, this use case we are still experiencing this use case. So do not hesitate to give us your feedback to help us to improve this use case. So to indicate if you find this use case relevant and how you would improve it or how you would use it. It will be useful information for us. So Lana, because you're the only one to watch this webinar in live, do you have questions for now, or do you want to see again some interface?
No, for me, everything was clear. Yeah, thank you very much. I don't have any questions. I would, I mean, I'm excited to also see the use case, like the one that's already there, and then I will look out for the upcoming one as well.
Okay, thank you very much, Lana. So for those who watch this, the recording of this webinar, do not hesitate to ask me by replying to the email I will send you by asking your question. So I will be glad to answer it. So thank you, and I wish you a pleasant day. Bye bye.
Merci beaucoup.
Merci, Lana. Au revoir.